Okay folks, here's where we are. We've got all 4 of our bolts made, countersunk in. When I go back and tighten these things, what I'll do is use an impact, and then I'll put the red Loctite on them, and then I can actually, there's enough thread back there. I'm going to do a little machining on the nuts, but I'm going to put nuts on the back side also. So won't go anywhere. The heads are plenty strong enough. They're not going to break off. Also, when I put the transmission on, I think I'm just going to drill and tap the bolts in. Then we'll go through this and tap into the other, or the bell housing itself. So that's going to help hold it, sandwich it together too on the top side. Now somebody mentioned about angle iron on the bottom and bolting to the bottom. Well, I want to bolt my, I could come over to here, but I still want to bolt my dust cover on. And I don't think we're going to have a strength issue anyway, but let me get the transmission and slide it down on here and see what it looks like. Okay folks, here's the transmission sitting on it, and shouldn't be any issues in mounting it. I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Let's see, I guess we get it straight, flat on top. If we get it flat on top, then our mount is crooked as can be. I thought these mounted straight, but evidently they're like a Camaro, possibly in a little bit, somewhat like a Camaro. Let me get this back. Okay, so we got the top flat and straight. As you can see, the side is off. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but the mount is leaning. So if I can go flat on top and just leave the mount leaning and work with that, which is probably what I'll end up doing. I don't know. We went straight up and down on the side. That's going to get our mount flat, but then our top's going to be crooked as can be. So I'm not sure how it went. I don't know if it was level on the mount or what. I guess it's not really that darn important. The mount, we can work with that no matter what. It's kind of a weird setup here. So we'll get it figured out, and then we'll get it marked, and we'll start getting some holes done. And this thing will be finished up here shortly. And we'll trim out the bottom of that plate some. I went 10 inches. I just didn't want to have not enough. I wanted to have more than I needed. So anyway, let's get at it. Okay, I usually don't do stuff this way, but I decided to do this a little different. Let's put it on there and spray some paint, and that'll give us our marks. And we're going to set the bell housing back up on the mill so we can do the holes, and shouldn't be an issue there. And we'll put just bolts and nuts on these, and then we're going to trim out a little bit, try to make it look like it's supposed to be an adapter and not just a square plate that somebody just throwed on there. So which that's exactly what it is, a square plate that somebody threw on there. But anyway, I arranged the transmission. The mount is not going to be quite flat, but the shifter is going to be straight up. The top of the transmission is flat, and that's just the way I decided I wanted to do it. Well, that's good enough. I can work with it for sure. So this one's going to get drilled and tapped. It's going to be really good. This one will get drilled and nut on the back side, same way with that one. This one here, we may have to do a little bit of work to decide how we're going to do it. I may go in here and machine enough to where I can just get a nut in there, or I can go all the way through and probably straight down and put a bolt and thread it in there. So I don't know, we'll figure it out as we go. Okay folks, we've got transmission bolted on, and we're getting ready to do some trimming here and trying to make it look a little bit better, get it cleaned up, and then we'll be able to get this back on for the final time, and not the transmission but the plate. we'll leave it on that way, you know, we can put transmission on and off as we need to. This side went in, tapped all the way in through cast iron, but the other side, this side didn't. As you can see, it just went past. Now I went ahead and tapped it anyway and got a bolt in it, but I think what we're going to do on this side is just put a stud in there and then weld the stud on the bottom side, or we may leave it like it is. I mean, it's threaded into the 1/4 inch plate. It's not going to go anywhere, so we'll decide that later, but it, you know, not a big issue. But we're going to get, like I said, we're going to get this plate cleaned up, make it look more like an adapter instead of just a square on there. Alright, let me get at it. Okay folks, here you go. Got it trimmed out, cleaned up. I didn't weld them holes up. I'm not going to worry too much about them. We're going to put the transmission on here and see how it looks. But that looks a little better than it looked before. Alright folks, transmission's on. Bolts up really well. We're going to end up, we'll, you know, put lock washers and everything on it when we're done, but we'll have it apart, back together a couple, 3 times at least. Now, when I do the rest of this onto the Buick motor, we're going to rely more on measurements than what we are putting it on, taking it apart, putting it on, taking it apart, like we did on the Cadillac. I've done that because I wanted everybody to see, you know, our clearances that we had and all that good stuff. So I think everybody understands that pretty much now. I just trimmed this out rough. I mean, I could have went nice and close all the way around the transmission, same way with over here, and try to make it look exact, but not too worried about it. If somebody gets up under it looking at it, I'm just going to fire it up and run them over anyway. So here's the deal with this. If you do this, or anything else on the drivetrain, if you're not confident that it's as strong as it would have been originally, or as strong as you would ever need it to be, do it a different way. Don't take no chances on it. If you notice, like when I do the one-day rat rod builds, when we have them here, I build the drive shafts. First thing we do when we get out there to the road is just, I mean, I'll tack it all the way up, hold it to the floor, and then just side step off the clutch. Do whatever we got to do, and if it tears it up, then I didn't do a good job. And no different than the Cadillac engine there. Now, of course, I did forget to weld the motor mount, but the point was, you know, we done all the adapting on the bell housing and stuff, and you got to be able to feel comfortable with what you do and know that what you've done is going to hold up. If not, you know, just don't even put it on the road and attempt it, because, you know, having faith in the work you do is a lot of the deal. You know, you got to know in your head that what you done was good enough to get by without any kind of issues, you know, whether it be safety issues or you know, tearing apart, breaking down, stuff like that. And you know, I'm 100% confident in this. I don't think there's any issues there. There's no reason why this won't work just as good as it, you know, it would if it would have came from the factory, and possibly better. You never know. But you know, that's the way that I like to do things. Now, if you noticed on the 31 Ford Roadster, I welded pieces on the bell housing in 2 spots, and then I drilled and tapped the other bolts. On the Cadillac motor, I bolted 2 pieces on and then drilled and tapped spots. On this one, I used an adapter plate. So there's 3 different ways that I've done this on 3 different, you know, transmissions. And you know, just because I'm trying to show that there's more than one way to do this, and you know, there's no reason why you know, somebody should say there's a right or a wrong way to doing it. The right way is it works. The wrong way is it don't work. That's pretty much the way it works. All right, let me get at it. Okay, folks, wind's blowing pretty bad. Hopefully you won't get drowned out by it, or I won't get drowned out by it. Okay, here's our measurements. This will be the surface of the bell housing, or the surface of the transmission, I guess is what it would be, and the flywheel. There's the shaft, clutch, and the pilot bushing. Okay, so our full length was 7.5, and that was from the surface of the bell housing, or where the face of the transmission mounted, all the way to the bottom of the hole for the pilot bushing. And the reason I do that measurement is because if it's too long and it sticks in and hits the back of the crankshaft, then you're going to have, you know, release problems. So that's one of the reasons that I always want to do that one. Okay, to the front surface of the bearing, where the bearing just begins, 6 1/4, and where the clutch just begins is 4 1/2. Okay, so what we got to do, since we use a 1/4 inch plate, we've got to add a 1/4 inch to each, and that's what I've done here. So full length 7 3/4, to the pilot bushing 6 1/2, to the clutch 4 3/4. And what we're going to do now is measure our transmission right here. And let me get see if I can find a tripod here. We got to do the measurement from the surface, which would be the same thing as if we done it from the surface of this back that way. We'll do it from the surface, and we'll do it on the shaft wherever we need. Pilot bushing, full length, and where the clutch starts. Alright. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So for our first measurement, it's the full length, which is 7 3/4. Alright, 7 3/4 would be basically right about there. So we're going to be about a 1/2 inch in from the back, so there's no issue. Okay, second measurement, to the beginning of the pilot bushing or bearing, which would be 6 1/2 inches. So we want to make sure that there's enough of this going to be sticking in it. So we need to come out 6 1/2. Six and a half. It's exactly right there. So that is actually putting, oh wait a minute, that's 6 1/4. There, 6 1/2. 6 1/2 is right there. So that's putting us out, leaving at least a 1/4 inch and giving us a full length on our bearing. So that'll be no issue whatsoever. Okay, so the beginning of the clutch is next, and that's going to be 4 3/4. 4 1/2, 4 3/4 right there. So that's where it's going to begin, and it's going to come this way. So that looks like it's going to be plenty on it. So I'm going to actually do a measurement here. 1 inch exactly is what it's going to be on the splines of the clutch. So let's check the clutch. From taper to taper, 1 inch. So it's going to actually work perfect. So that should be good. So really there's no altering length. The only thing that we have to do now is make sure that we can do whatever we need to do to this to get our throttle bearing on, and then make our pilot bushing and put this thing together. Alright folks, we're good to go here. Nice and shiny, polished. Should be no problems. We'll get this part cleaned up and get her back on. That leaves pilot bushing. That's it. Okay, I'm sure everybody's seen this, but just in case somebody hasn't, pilot bushing, well, this is a bearing, but it's a sealed bearing, so usually you can get them just made a piece and turned it down to fit in perfect. Put the grease inside and then hit it with a hammer, and it's just a hydraulic effect, and it'll push it back out. You can use wet toilet paper. I've heard of people using bread and water, but I always use grease. But there you go. We'll see if we can get her out. Works good. Okay folks, here's the odd looking pressure plate for that Buick. Never seen one like that. It's definitely different. If it works, it works. All right. Okay, folks. Today we're gonna call it quits now because I got to pick up the material to make the pilot bushing in the morning, and everything else is taken care of here. Got that done, on permanent. We're ready to go there. Bearings really good shape. You know, no noises. Greased up good. This is done. So I think I'll show you a few things on the 31 coupe here. Okay, here's our radiator. Got it in today. Now we can still use it on the A grill. I think we'll use the A grill. I think it looks better too. Kind of glad everybody else thinks it does. I thought a 32 grill would look good on everything, but it just don't look good on this car for some reason. So here's what we got. We have got a 12-volt generator on here, and I changed this nose cone, and it was a direct bolt on. Jake, a friend of mine, brought me this, and actually dropped it off in a car out here. We're social distancing here. So I've got a voltage regulator for 12 volt, and so everything worked fine, except when I went to take that pulley off of the Cadillac generator, I could not get it off. I had the worst time, and you know, they're not made out of much anyway, and I actually put it in the mill and machined down the center of it and to relieve it, and I still messed that pulley up getting it off. And I messed the pulley up so bad it just kind of upset me, so I just went and ordered one. There was a new old stock one on eBay, so it's on the way. So we're going to put a new one on it. I don't want a belt or a pulley that's out around here, you know, in and out, to where it's going to be tightening and loosening and giving belt troubles. These belts are too expensive for that. So we're going to get the pulley on it, get the belt on it. We'll get this wired. It's 12 volts, so it's not an issue. I got to do the bearing in the fan, as you can see. So we just got it sitting on there. I was checking clearance, and we're going to be able to use the fan with the radiator as long as we use the Model A grill shelf, because the grill don't, you know, stick out and hit. So it's going to work out a lot better. So that's where we're at on this. Everything's working out good on it. It's going to be no issue. Got to get the fan back off and everything, get all that sandblasting cleaned, and get, like I said, get a bearing. Or I'm pretty sure it's got bearings in it. I would think so. May have to make a new shaft for it, but whatever I got to do, I'm going to do. Okay, so we'll end it with a cold start. When I say cold start, it means I think it's 58 degrees. I know that's not cold, but it'll be all right. Pump it twice. See what it'll do. All right, we might as well start this one too. I don't know what it is about this one, but you don't have to choke it. You don't have to do anything. That's how it runs all the time. So no, it's not cold natured, that's for sure. All right, appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.